which is you right now. You're hungry for love, you're thirsty for attention, and that's why you're probably feeling this urge right now to go back to your ex. I saw him first, he's all mine. You can't have him, no. I saw him first, I saw him first. I saw him first, now have several seats. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening, welcome back to my podcast. It's good to be back. I'm actually on a roll right now. 2 weeks, second week in 2023, and I'm already back with a new podcast. I'm so excited. Okay, let's get into this week's video. If you listen to last week's video, which I'm gonna put up here for you guys to see, I mentioned how my goal in 2023 is to date strategically. So basically I'm trying to go on less dates with people that I don't really care about, and I mentioned how I was going to manifest my ex back into my life. I'm not going to spill any more tea this week, but basically I have set my moves in motion, if that makes sense. I have set my strategy in motion already, and it's looking up. Things are looking up. But this week I'm back with an all new episode. I'm back in a separate episode, and you probably will be able to infer from the new episode what I did, what my tea is, but I'm still not going to spill it, okay? You can contemplate however much you like, but I'm not spilling any more tea for you guys. Anyway, I forgot to introduce myself. I always forget to do this. I'm Angie. If you're new to my channel, you can call me Angie. Some people know me as Taiwo, but either one is fine. Anyway, welcome back to I Saw Him First podcast, and this is episode 44. Right, so the topic for this week is, drumroll, getting back with your ex. Should you go back to your ex? Okay, I'm sure everyone has heard the age-old saying, don't go back to something that broke you. There's a reason you broke up with them in the first place, yada, 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 yada. But a lot of people that have been together for a long time, a lot of successful relationships actually had a break in them. Something that my sister pointed out recently to me, actually. And I have a personal experience with this. Not personally, but, someone in my family actually broke up with a now husband somewhere along the line in their relationship, and now they're as happy as ever. And there's also instances of celebrities like Rochelle Humes. I don't know if that's how to pronounce her surname, Rochelle, and her husband. I forgot her husband's name, but they also had a break in their relationship. If you think of people that have been together for a really long time, there's usually some sort of break in the middle, which means it's not necessarily a bad idea. It's not always a bad idea when you go back to your ex. But that also doesn't mean everyone should be going back to their exes, because let's face it, okay, some of y'all's exes are shit. I mean, I can hands to chest, I've dated people in my life that are questionable that I think back to and I'm like, why did I do that, right? So everyone shouldn't be going back to their exes. Not everyone should be hopping back. This isn't your ticket. This isn't your free pass to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going back to my ex. No. The purpose of this video is to help you make the decision if you are considering going back to your ex, or if you've ever wondered the one that got away. If you've ever wondered if she is the one that got away. If you've ever wondered if he is the one that got away. Well, this podcast will help you realize that, and also help you think about, the things you need to think about before you reach back out to your ex, or before you actually get back in a relationship with this person. So let us start with number 1. This is actually a post-breakup advice, right? When you break up with someone, I need you to write down every reason why you broke up with them. Write it down on a piece of paper, write it down on your phone, but have a record of why you broke up with them. Why? Because your brain forgets pain. Our brain is wired to forget the feeling, the intensity of the pain that we felt. It's why people say, oh, time fixes everything. Because as time passes, a lot of us forget the pain of incidences. It's what our body's supposed to do. For instance, it's why women choose to have babies, because they forget, like, more babies. Is why women choose to have more kids, because they forget the pain of the first one, right? They forget the pain of childbirth. It's why we drink again. Even after swearing we'll never drink again because of a horrible hangover that we had. It's because we forget the intensity of that sorrow and pain or discomfort that we felt, right, at the time of the incident. And that's the exact same thing that will happen to you if you don't write down the reasons why you broke up with someone. As time goes on, you start to romanticize the relationship. You start to think of it as better than it actually was, and you start to minimize the effects and the negativity and the toxicity and all the all the bad things you went through with the past relationship. You start to forget it. You start to minimize the effect that it had on you, and you don't want to forget. You don't want to forget. You don't want to go back to someone that caused you so much pain. You don't want to go back to someone that drove you crazy. You don't want to go back to a toxic relationship, right? That's why it's so important to write things down. So if you didn't write anything down at the time that you broke up with someone, it's not too late to do it now. Get a piece of paper, get your phone, get an iPad, wherever you used to take notes, and write it down. Write down everything you thought was wrong with the person, or was wrong with the relationship, or everything that you did wrong in the relationship, everything that was bad about that relationship. I need you to write it down. I need you to remind yourself of the pain you went through, the disappointment, the hurt, every single negative emotion that you felt. I need you to feel it again. Yes, it's a horrible task to complete, but this is so important. It's so important for you to realize that this isn't the best decision to make, right? Now, if you've written all this down, if you've written all the negatives of this relationship, and you still think, it wasn't actually that bad, then maybe we can move on to step number 2. As enough time passed. I mentioned how they say time fixes all. I don't think so. I think time only fixes things if you work on it within that time. I think it's not time that fixes, it's what you do within that time. I've made content on how to get over a breakup, and I think if you do all of those things, there's no magic. There's no how to get over a breakup like it's that easy. There's no magic trick, but there are things that help you deal with a breakup and get over it faster, right? So if enough time has passed where you're not going back to this person because you're lonely, you're not going back to this person because you're hurt, you're not going back to this person because you're just scared to get back out there, to start all over again. I know I'm not talking from a place of experience because I've never had a long ass relationship, right? But I can imagine someone that's been with someone for a decade. If you've been with your man, your girl for a decade, for instance, it's going to be hard to just let that go. It's going to be hard to start all over. Or you've got kids with someone, that's an all different ball game. So I acknowledge I'm not speaking from that position, but I can only speak from my experience. Sometimes the reason why you feel the urge that you just want to go back to that person is out of convenience. It's because you know them, or you think you know them. They're an easy person to reach back out to when you're lonely or you're sad or you're scared. They're an easy convenience. Jared Freed, one of my favorite podcasters, refers to people going back to their exes as going back for the leftovers in the fridge. It's there. It's there. You can always go back to get it. It's a leftover. It's like it's there for you to reach back out and grab it whenever you want, whenever you're hungry, which is you right now. You're hungry for love, you're thirsty for attention. And that's why you're probably feeling this urge right now to go back to your ex. So you need to ask yourself, has enough time actually passed? Now, I don't know if I can say exactly what enough time is. I don't know if I can say, oh, wait, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. I don't know. But I think you can just be honest with yourself. Are you feeling Are you scared? Are you lonely? Are you anxious? Are you hurt? Are you still sad? So those are the feelings that you need to figure out before you reach back out to them. I would recommend feeling, I don't want to say apathy, but like neutral. You need to be at a place of like neutrality. You need to be level-headed. Your emotions have to be neutral. Your emotions have to be balanced and stable. I think that's the right word. You have to be in a place of emotional stability before you consider reaching out to your ex again. Think of the things that went wrong like you did in step 1 and see if there's anything you did badly, if there's anything you could change, if there's anything you can work on. In the meantime, there's anything that would make you a better partner for when you actually reach back to your ex. So ask yourself, are you just reaching back out of desperation and loneliness? Or do you really, really genuinely think that you made a mistake and you can make this work again? Ask yourself that. Now this leads on nicely to step number 3. Ask yourself, is anything changed? What's changed? What's changed from the last time you broke up with this person? What has changed? Is the reason you broke up still very much alive? Is the problem still there? What has changed? What has been solved? Have you solved the problem? Have they solved the problem? Are you working on it? Are they working on it? What has changed? And I know that, this kind of goes without saying, but if the reason you broke up with someone or they broke up with you is because one of you cheated, okay, I think you can come back from that. But what has changed? Have you worked on trust? Have you communicated properly? Have you thought about, how you would go forward? Like, have you thought about the pain that you would feel, the lack of trust? Have you thought about, what has changed exactly? Has the person felt remorse? Are they willing now to give it another try? Are they willing to be faithful again? Are you willing to trust them again? What has changed? If the reason you broke up with someone is because of location, if they are far, far away, if it's a long distance relationship and one of you had to move, what has changed? Have you reached a compromise to meet in the middle somewhere, like both physically and figuratively? Have they moved to your city? Have you moved to their city? What has changed, right? So that's obviously common sense sort of, point, but you also want to think about that, because if the problem is still there and there's nothing at all that has been fixed, what do you think will be different if you get back together? Absolutely nothing. It's like they say, you can't do the same thing and expect a different result. So if nothing is changed, if the problem is still very much alive, that if the problem is still in your face, then I don't think it's the best idea to go back to your ex. Number 4, which again leads on very nicely from number 3, what is going to change in the future? What is going to change? Draft the get back together plan. Yes, do it. It's not crazy. It's not silly. It's not stupid. Get back together plan. And I don't mean literally write it down, but you need to have a plan. So when you meet up with this person again, you both need to talk it out, talk it through, say everything you want to say, get it off your chest. The last thing you want to do is go back to someone and still harbor some resentment. You don't want to resent them, and you don't expect to have resentment, to hold resentment in your heart and have a loving, caring, successful relationship, right? So if there's anything you're still angry about, if there's anything you're still upset about, if there's anything you still need clarity on, now is the time to spill the tea, spill your heart, spill your soul, get it all out, get clarity on what's going to change going forward, right? So I mentioned before, if someone cheated, are you going to trust them again? What are the steps that you need to take to be able to trust them again? What are the steps they're going to take to earn your trust again? You need to ask these questions. If the problem is geography, who is moving and when? When is the plan to move? If you're still going to do long distance, right? So how long? So this is what I mean by a draft or get back together plan. If it's communication that was your problem, okay, let's work on better communication. How are we going to handle conflicts in the future? What's your love language if that was the problem? If you aren't feeling desired or loved or shown, affection, how are we going to change that going forward? What would you do to make me feel better, and what I do to make you feel better? How would I make your life better going forward? How will this relationship be better going forward? That's the question you need to ask, and that's the conversation you need to have. Obviously, I'm just saying this like talking out of my ass, right? I have no qualification to tell you guys this, but I'm speaking from experience, right? And these are things that I thought about before I did something that I'm not going to say on this channel, because I'm done spilling tea for you guys, because this person actually listened to my podcast, and I was so embarrassed, because I'm like, what the hell? I literally said this guy is the shit. And now he knows that I think is the shit as in goods. I basically talked about how I'm manifesting him back into my life, because I've searched far and near, and I don't think I've met someone like him. And now he heard it, and now I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not very happy. So no more spilling the tea, because this guy has found my podcast, and I am not happy about that. So I'm going to keep things very very much incognito right now, okay? Infer from it wherever you want, but I'm not spilling any more tea. Anyway, number 5, which is my final point of the day. Ask yourself, is it really worth it? Is he really? Have you considered the possibility that maybe, just maybe, there's someone else out there that's better for you? It sounds cliche, but have you dated other people, or you operated from a scarcity mindset, from a mindset of there's no one else for me, I can't do better than this? Maybe you can, but how will you know? How will you know if you don't try? Or maybe you can't. Maybe that guy was the best you could ever get. Maybe it was the best you could ever get, but how do you know? You have to go out there and date. Have you even gone out on a date? Have you left your house? Have you gone to the gym? Have you gone to the grocery store? Have you left your house since this breakup? Or you've stuck inside crying and just craving this person's attention again? So this is what I want you to think about. Is it even worth it? Is it worth the tears? Is it worth the sadness and the anxiety and the stress? Is it worth it? So maybe, like I said in the start, where you write all the things you don't like about this person, or all the things that made the relationship bad, maybe this time sit down and write things that you liked about this person and the things you liked about the relationship. You need to quantify it. If you need to make a pros and cons list, do it, okay? Because this is so important. This is the final step, so you need to take it seriously. Is it worth it? Is it worth the stress? Is it worth you giving another chance? Or is there someone out there that can make you happy? Is there someone better for you out there? How will you know if you don't try? How will you know if you don't give them a chance? Honestly, every single guy I've dated has usually just been better than the last. Every single guy I've dated seriously. I'm not talking about first, second, third dates. Every guy that I've taken seriously for more than 2 months, always been better than the last one, right? So that goes to show you that even you're getting better at picking better partners for you. The more you go out, the more you date, the more you find out what you want, the more you realize what you can get, the more you realize like the people out there for you. Okay, so stop operating from the scarcity mindset that this person is the end all be all. No. Look inwards, think, look at yourself, and just hype yourself up a little bit. You can do better. Most times you can do better, right? So think about that for a minute. Just think about that for a minute. That maybe there's just that possibility that there's someone better out there for you. Just really think about it. In fact, I always advise date someone else after a breakup, not in a rebound kind of way. Take the time to heal that you need, but always date someone else before you go back to your ex. In fact, that is my advice. If there's anything I'm more sure of, it's this: date someone else. Never go back to your ex without a breakup in the middle. I don't want you to get a rebound. If that's what you need, do it. But also, I just said heal and deal with the breakup first, maybe a month or 2. But get back out there and date someone. Experience something new. Experience someone new. And see if like the things you had to fight for with the fight for or fight about with the old guy, maybe you get it so easily with the new. Maybe it treats you better. Maybe he understands you better. Maybe he loves you better. Maybe he has more money. Maybe he's taller, smarter, and more handsome, and more attractive, and harder. Whatever it is, okay? Maybe you can get better. Maybe, just maybe. Or maybe not. And in that case, maybe you should go back to your ex. Now, before I end this podcast, I just want to acknowledge that none of this is easy. Like, feelings are the worst things to turn off, the hardest things to turn off, right? If you lose your phone, you can always replace it. If you lose your confidence, you can always work on getting it back, right? If you lose your money, you can always make more money. If you lose weight, good for you. But if you lose someone that's important to you, that's like one of the hardest things ever. So I acknowledge that. I'm not trying to say this is easy in any way, but you came here for advice, so I am giving the advice to you. I acknowledge the difficulty. I know that feelings, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Because feelings would just get you acting mad sometimes. But you need to zen it back and bring it back in and think logically. I'm such a logical thinker. A lot of the decisions I make in my life, I have thought it through, right? And I told my friends this year is the year for me to do what? To fuck shit up. I am trying to step out of my comfort zone this year, and I think you should too. So if this is something you've never done before, if you've never gone back to an ex before, I have never gone back to an ex before. If you've never done that before and you've got into step 5 and you still think this is a great idea, then go for it. Step out of your comfort zone. Fuck shit up. That's my advice for you. Anyway, I don't know why I'm doing my hands like this, but thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to share with somebody and like on Spotify. Can you like on Spotify? Like on YouTube. Follow on Spotify. Yeah, you can do that. Follow on Instagram at I Saw Him First Podcast. Also follow on TikTok at I Saw Him First Podcast. And if you're not watching on YouTube, I've got a YouTube channel called Her-Dalton. So that's HER-DULTING, and you will see my beautiful face. Don't lose the privilege of looking at this beautiful face. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.